Good evening, I'm your host Prasad and you're watching KiniNews. Tajuddin Abdul Rahman isn't in Jakarta acting as Malaysia's ambassador to Indonesia. So he's in parliament and he wants you to know he's not sexist. Because according to him, he doesn't have issues with all women, just some who are with DAP. Opposition lawmakers stood up against Tajuddin Abdul Rahman in parliament today after the Umno MP attempted to deny that he was sexist.
Mereka tak kenal siapa ni tiga orang. Bagaimana kita menjaga maruah wanita? Bagaimana kita menolong wanita? You don't know how we treat our wanita. Yeah. You don't laugh. You can ask, tanya wanita. Umno macam mana? Yang kita masalah ni wanita, beberapa orang wanita di AP. Perangai tak senonoh, mulut capul.
His accusation against DAP women MPs as the Dewan Rakyat was debating the Anti-Sexual Harassment Bill triggered further accusations that he was sexist.
Bukan all lah, not all of you. Some
Adakah timbalan speaker akan membenarkan perkara ini diulangi?
Not all, but some of you.
Baik, terima kasih. Terima kasih Tajuddin.
Saya belum habis.
Some of you mulut jahat.
Baik.
Some of you.
Yesterday, Kulai MP Teo Nie Ching named Tajuddin as well as Bung Moktar Radin and Azeez Abdul Rahim as repeat offenders of sexist remarks. The Pasir Salak MP retorted that the trio were unfairly targeted and their critics did not know how much they do for women. Tajuddin also claimed that the election victories were because most women supported them. His remarks immediately caused opposition MPs to fight back and demand that he retract his words. In a tweet later, Batukawan MP Kasturi Pato alleged that Tajuddin had also uttered a vulgar slang twice while his microphone was turned off, which several MPs heard, but the Pasir Salak MP was only given a warning. Meanwhile, MPs from both sides of the political divide have called on the Speaker to allow the debate on the Sulu's claim, stressing the importance of the issue for the people of Sabah. Former Kota Belud MP Abdul Rahman Dahlan has backed his successor Isnarai Zamunira Majlisi's attempt to convince the Dewan Rakyat to debate the asset seizure by the purported descendants of the Sulu Sultanate. Rahman said many MPs, especially those from Sabah, have many questions to ask the government. He added that Parliament is the best platform for the government to answer these questions. Rahman said he believed that Isnarai Zamunira will be refiling a motion for the debate to the Dewan Rakyat Speaker's office and he hoped that it will be allowed. He added that the Speaker and the government must understand that the arbitration award and Sabah security are important issues to the people of Sabah. Rahman pointed out that if her motion is rejected again, it will incur the wrath of the people of Sabah. Rahman was a two-term Kota Belud MP and former Federal Cabinet Minister. During the 2018 election, he was fielded as BN's candidate for Sepanga but did not win. On Monday, Isnarai Zamunira was suspended from the Dewan Rakyat for insisting that the arbitration award be debated. That suspension expires today. However, it's not likely to be debated as the Speaker stood his ground today that it would be sub judice. He added that debating the issue would give the enemy a peek into the government's strategies.
Dewan Rakyat Speaker Azhar Azizan Harun has again rejected calls to debate claims over Petronas assets by the purported descendants of the Sulu Sultanate. In expanding his sub judice ruling, Azhar said debating the matter could reveal the government's legal strategies to the enemy. He said this would hurt the government's interest in its litigation proceedings. Azhar added that the first rule of litigation is the element of surprise, and the first rule of war is the same. Hence, the Speaker said it was his responsibility to ensure that the government's strategies were not exposed. The purported heirs of the last Sulu Sultan, Sultan Jamalul Kiram II, are using international legal processes in a bid to claim over 66 billion ringgit in overdue lease payments for Sabah. The arbitration process was initiated in response to Malaysia cutting off the annual lease payments of 5,300 ringgit to the Sulu Sultanate in 2013. Following this, the Sulu side, via their lawyers, managed to seize two subsidiaries of Petronas worth almost 9 billion ringgit.
With Rafizi back in PKR's leadership, Nurul Izzah is set to make a comeback too, according to a source.
Nurul Izzah Anwar is set to be returning as PKR Vice President soon. This is almost 4 years after she decided to let go of her post in 2018. According to a PKR insider close to Deputy President Rafizi Ramli, Nurul Izzah has agreed to be appointed to the position again. The source told Malaysia Kini that party president Anwar Ibrahim held a meeting with Rafizi and another individual who is Anwar's advisor. The source added that all of them agreed to the idea of appointing Nurul Izzah as PKR vice president. For the record, Nurul Izzah announced her resignation as PKR vice president on December 17, 2018, a decision which shocked many party leaders and supporters. She also resigned as the Penang PKR chairperson then. Malaysia Kini has contacted Nurul Izzah for comment. Meanwhile, the source said the party leadership has also agreed to appoint Selayang MP William Leong as PKR treasurer, while Lembah Pantai MP Fahmi Fadzil is to be party information chief. Another source told Malaysia Kini that PKR has not decided on who will fill the position of party secretary general.
The number of Malaysians attending the Bon Odori festival has shocked an NGO, which now plans to hold a Malay Civilization Day. The Islam Defenders Association, Pembela, are planning to commemorate July 30th as Malay Civilization Day. This comes after the NGO expressed shock at seeing Muslims celebrating the Japanese cultural festival, Bon Odori. Pembela chairperson Aminuddin Yahya said around 35,000 people celebrating the Bon Odori festival were mostly Malay Muslims. He said they did so despite religious teachers group, including the religious authorities and the Mufti, forbidding it. Aminuddin said this is based on the results of their study, which found that there are elements of idolatry behind it. He referred to Perlis Mufti Muhammad Asri Zainul Abidin, who earlier proposed that the Bon Odori events in Malaysia be renamed. Asri said doing so will avoid any confusion about the event's traditional origin, which contain elements of idolatry and superstition. Aminuddin also expressed his disbelief at Muslim leaders who celebrate and promote the event, though the festival does not celebrate the races in Malaysia. Aminuddin said this issue was what prompted his plan to organize a day dedicated to Malay civilization. The Pembela chairperson is planning to make it an annual event with exhibitions, sales parades, performances and shows suitable for the whole family. If you're a Sabah state leader, your salary is going to go up by around 40%, and two NGOs have questioned why the money wasn't used to help the people of the state instead.
Sabah Legislative Assembly yesterday approved a bill to increase the remuneration of the Chief Minister, state assembly persons, and other members of the state administration. Now, two Bornean NGOs are calling for the Sabah government to allocate more funds to help its people instead of increasing the salaries of its ministers. The members of the administration and members of the Legislative Assembly Remuneration Amendment Enactment 2022, tabled by Chief Minister Hajiji Noor, was passed by a majority vote of more than 73. The last time there was an amendment to the salaries was in 2014, which saw a 50% hike. The Gendol Initiative for Civil Society Borneo and Borneo's Plight in Malaysia Foundation said the argument that increasing the ministers' salaries can result in better services and assistance to the people is a fabrication by the government. The NGOs pointed out that there are Sabah ministers whose salaries have already exceeded 50,000 ringgit and 80,000 ringgit a month, even though this latest increase has not yet been included. The activists said the government should instead directly aid B40 families and provide funds to help the people in terms of infrastructure, emergency, and lighting assistance, and to improve the overall quality of government services.
The US Trafficking in Persons Report 2022 has once again placed Malaysia in Tier 3, the lowest rank. Malaysia has been given the lowest rank in the latest US Trafficking in Persons Report 2022. This means the country remains in Tier 3 for a second consecutive year. The United Nations Human Rights Council members shared the notoriety of failing to meet minimum standards from 2021, together with 10 other countries. The list includes neighbors in East Asia and the Pacific region, China and Myanmar. In total, there are 22 countries in Tier 3 this year, with some newly downgraded. The report said the Malaysian government did not fully meet the minimum standards for the elimination of trafficking and is not making significant efforts to do so. The 2022 TIP report has listed 15 priority recommendations to the government, all of which were repetitions from previous reports. The US State Department ranks countries on their compliance with its Victims of Trafficking and Protection Act 2000 and publishes its findings annually in the TIP report. And that is all from me today. For more stories, you can go to KiniTV.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube and Facebook for the latest news updates. If you'd like to support independent media, do consider subscribing to MalaysiaKini.com. I'm Prasad. Thank you for watching.